Thank you for staying with us. The program is the Afia Morning Show, and of course, good morning once again from the east side. I am Natalie Uku, and Oji Wachuku is here. Brand new week, brand new broadcast. How are you feeling, Oji?
I feel good. I'm great. Good morning. Yeah, well, the weekend was what it was, but there's something very salient today. It's good that we commiserate with the families that lost their loved ones October 2020. It's 5 years on. It's 5 years on, and I begin to ask this question. We talk about being progressive as a nation, whatever the party ties it to. But I ask this question: are we progressive in things that was bothering us? Are we progressive? Have we changed the mindset, the paradigm shift? What we're called out for, the Sowore'S of October 2020, right? Up until today, is this still happening? These are questions we're meant to be asking ourselves this morning, by the way, as people actually go out there, commiserate to remember the lives lost at Lekki Toll Gate, October 2020, and also the campaign of Free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu going on around the world, around the world, by the way, and Nigeria and Abuja. We begin to ask the same question: where is our democracy heading to? Right? So these are things we're meant to ponder, deep reflection this morning and this week totally. We are progressive, as they stated. Are we progressive in changing things that's been called ill of the yesteryears? Do they still prevail in the today? Well, that's the question.
I think the bigger question now will be, we are progressive. I don't know about everybody being progressive, but essentially those are the salient questions I'll be asking this week, and those are the highlights. I mean, we have two things happening at the same time. While we don't know about any formal event that will be marking the memorial, but what we know is that the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest has taken center stage. But still on our minds right now are those victims of the Lekki Toll Gate shooting, which I think is quite shocking, like you rightly pointed out, that the federal government is yet to really come out and really tell us what happened. There's still lots of denials. We don't know that we didn't shoot anybody, but what we know is that we saw people carrying Nigerian flags soaked in blood. So we would continue to follow and see if things happen in the course of today, but what we understand is that right now the streets in Enugu currently are desolate. Some of them are just, people are not coming out. We also know that some schools have asked the children to stay home because of the planned protests today, and of course that's what the situation is like in Enugu. If you drive out now, you see the roads are scanty. You would see some vehicles and some individuals, but relatively this Monday shows that the streets are really scanty right here, making us ask questions about if sit at home is a new form of protest in the southeast. But we are on protest watch, and we'll continue to watch and see if people actually come out with placards, as we're seeing in Abuja this morning. We're seeing some people have already come out to protest in Abuja this morning. Before we get into our review this morning, of course, because we are on protest watch, let's take a moment to take a look at what they're saying and what they're chanting in Abuja, and then we'll come back to look at the papers. Take a look.
Free Nnamdi Kanu now! 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 Don't take us off! Free Nnamdi Kanu now! Don't take us off! Don't take us off! Do not take us off! You are right to protest!
All right, so you're seeing activist Sowore and his group there protesting in Abuja, and of course we'll bring details as the show progresses. In the southeast, in Enugu specifically, we're not seeing that activity, but we know that the central location for this protest is in fact Abuja, and we'll see what other southeast states do about it and what residents are saying. Chilaka Njoko, public affairs analyst, joins us this morning. Mr. Chilaka, good morning. Welcome back. August visitor.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. August visitor in October. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
So you saw them chanting on screen. You saw Sowore and the people there protesting, shouting, "Free Nnamdi Kanu, free Nnamdi Kanu." Are they being heard?
I hope so. I'm very proud of Sowore'S courage. I mean, of all the people who said they want to be president of Nigeria, he's the one person that has been consistent with calling for a revolution and a drastic change. And he's putting action towards. So a lot of people talk and talk and talk. There are things you can't change with talking. So you must put a foot out. And it should be a big shame to a lot of our Eastern leaders, so to say, Igbo leaders, that Sowore is coming from the West to fight for Nnamdi Kanu. Something they should have asked from the presidency a long time ago. I've said this so many times. The governors have the president visiting them all the time. Why don't have a unified front and say, we want Nnamdi Kanu free? What this simply says is that they are guilty of the accusation coming from people that they want Nnamdi Kanu inside instead of outside. So if they cannot say, this is what the people want, and it's obvious this is what the people want. This guy, when he was out, we didn't have any people in our forest. He was able to get all the herdsmen out of the forest. Today, there are kidnappers everywhere. The governors prefer to have kidnappers everywhere to having Nnamdi Kanu out of jail. So there's a question there. I'm not saying they are this or that, but the actions is saying what they are.
But what could be the reason why they would want Nnamdi Kanu inside, not outside?
Nnamdi Kanu was not in support of elections. This chops into their job and their interest. So my assumption, that they believe if he's out there, he might work against elections. And they want elections because they want to sit in power. So it's not about the interest of the people or of the Igbo people, but the interest of the governor's ambitions and their pockets.
Right, and just to add to that, if your suggestion is true, then some people also argue in that quarter that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is one of the most influential Nigerians. And if he does come out, what he says could have damning ripple effects. Let's leave it at that, look at headlines and see if any of those stories make the news. We'll start with The Guardian and the top story here. Farmers in limbo as bureaucracy stalls 50 billion naira tractor rollout. Coup denial not enough, stem rising anxiety, discontent, stakeholders tell federal government. Middle Belt Forum raises alarm over renewed killings in Plateau, alleges genocide. ADC says defections can't save APC in 2027. NAFDAC rallies manufacturers to homegrown vaccine production. Kano victims of separatist violence. Others oppose planned protest. ASU confirms talks with federal government team as strike enters 7th day. Federal government reverses policy on math as parents, teachers protest. On The Nation, PDP convention, Ayamu protests forgery in letter to INEC. Government targets $75 million in flutter waves to $50 million listing. Senator, actress, wife accuse each other of drug abuse, violence. Free Kanu now, protesters adamant despite police red alert. English maths compulsory for O-level, says federal government. Ondo youth seek sack of NDDC board member. On Daily Trust, alleged coup plot. Ex-governor under watch, more officers picked. Nnamdi Kanu, protesters dare police. PDP convention, Ayamu alleges signature forgery. Protest in U.S. over Trump's policies. How terrorists killed 6 soldiers in Borno ambush. On Nigerian Tribune, free Nnamdi Kanu protest, police, NSCDC, NCOS warn Sowore others. Why we are protesting? Sowore remarks, U.S. Embassy issues security alert. Nigeria's manufacturing sector is still struggling despite lowering inflation. Oyebanji is my greatest achievement, according to Fayemi. NDLEA intercepts US, UK, DRC bound illicit drug consignments in frozen snails, electric bulbs. Ibadan Convention, PDP crisis takes new turn as Ayamu petitions DSS, police, INEC alleges forgery. On The Punch, hashtag free Nnamdi Kanu, protesters defy security warning, vow Villa march. Opposition parties back protest, 115 lawyers, medics to join rally today. Kanu's legal team fractured. Osibanjo leads ECOWAS team to monitor Cote d'Ivoire poll. Tinubu hails ex-Punch MD Osinubi at 70, I beg your pardon. Gunmen shoot a butcher dead in Lagos Barracks Market. Senate to grill NCAA local airlines on safety breaches. And of course, lastly here, federal government backs DHQ as cool rumors sparks political firestorm.
Vanguard. Hashtag EndSARS at 5. Memories matters. Unfinished struggle for justice. Why accountability remains elusive, says lawyers. Hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu now protest. Sowore urges police to protect protesters. Stay off Aso Rock. NAS police 1. FG declares prisons red zones. Vanguard Mental Health Summit 3.0. Nigeria losing young people to suicide advocates 1. Regina battling drug alcohol addiction needs rehabilitation, says Ned Nwoko. I can't stand the domestic violence attributed to Regina. Nigeria spends 3.53 trillion naira on raw materials imports in first quarter of 2025. Wrap to NAS. Account for missing 18.6 billion naira commission office complex named contractors. Moving over to Daily Independent. We are considering proposals for viable national carrier, says FG. Kiyamo says new airline won't be government funded. Sage Ozekeme back idea. Urge discipline, transparency. FG says mathematics still compulsory for O-level students. Forgery role puts PDP's national convention at risk. Anyanwu petitions police DSS INEC. 2027 APC can't be saved even if all governors defect to party, says ADC. Pencom's personal pension plan unlocks 80 million untapped informal workers. Nnamdi Kanu, today's protest sacrosanct. Sowore Obara insists. Stay clear of Aso Rock, its environs. Police warns protesters. Syrup gives Abia 7 days to account for missing NAS complex 18.6 billion naira. 18% inflation signals hope for rate cut. Market recovery. Moving over to salient times. Lagos traders, shoppers gone despite falling inflation. Wale Dun returns to Nigeria after medical trip abroad. ECOWAS appoints Osinbajo to lead election observation mission in Cote d'Ivoire. Kaduna turns APC stronghold as lawmakers, ex-governor, thousands others defect at mega rally. I wish Nigeria won't qualify for 2026 World Cup, says South African minister. Senator Abba Moro loses son, grandson in 48 hours. Osun APC bribery claim baseless, threat to democracy, says Governor Adeleke. Ex-Kenyan Prime Minister Raila Odinga buried. Platform Times. Forgery scandal rocks PDP ahead of convention. Anyanwu accuses party officials and collaborators of criminal act. Court halts preparations, orders parties to maintain status quo. MS advocates 200 naira daily allowance for pregnant women to tackle malnutrition. Adeleke denies bribing NULGE leaders. Blast APC over false claims. P&ID scandal. HEDA presses CBN for full disclosure of lawyers' fees. Special reports Ogun's pension promise in peril. Workers' fume strike looms again. Syrup demands Abia Abbas account for missing 18.6 billion naira NAS project funds. NDLEA uncovers illicit drugs hidden in frozen snails, electric bulbs at Lagos airport. NCOS declares prisons red zones ahead of pro-Kanu protest. Katsina LG chairman enters forest, negotiates release of 26 hostages from bandits. And lastly, Nigerian News Direct. Security agencies on high alert as hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu protest looms. Shawulu launches €410 million EU-funded Omi-Eco project. Defection. We remain solidly behind Makinde PDP, says former LG chairman as he declares. Heightened tension in Benue as armed herdsmen seize the community. NDLA sees hard drugs hidden in frozen snails, electric bulbs. Lastly, NEMA, BCDA explore deployments of technology to secure border security.
All right, thank you, Oji, for those headlines. I mean, many interesting stories. We just saw the video of the protest kicking off in Abuja. Now, it turns out they were just outside Transcorp Hilton, which was meant to be their meeting point by Unity Fountain. So that's where they are. But towards the end of that video, we did see a little scuffle. I don't know why the protesters started to run. So while we get that ready, because I'd like us to play the clip of when they started to run so we really hear what happened. Was there anything that could have led to their panicking? So we'll get to the end of the video and watch that. But before then, let's take a look at you were mentioning that the governors need to have done more before Sowore stepped in to engineer this protest. And we're talking about influence. We're talking about possibilities of his not wanting elections to go on as planned. Would you like to say more about this and what this means being organized by Sowore?
Well, it's not just the governors. Every person who calls himself a dignitary or a leader from Igbo land should have called for this release. This is sheer injustice. It's like there are two laws in this country, one for Igbos and one for non-Igbos. So every Igbo man that sees injustice of being applied to an Igbo man should be getting ready for his turn someday. So the governors I mentioned, because they are in authority, they have the ears of the president. I don't see why every single one of them shouldn't have, especially the ones that are in APC and those who are joining APC now. I would have said why join APC, but these days it looks like there is no party in Nigeria. That's the way I look at it. So they're just looking for where they can register and contest elections because there's no ideology. All the parties are almost the same. All
right, so let's quickly watch just the midsection of the video we started with. According to our correspondent, tear gas was being fired on the protesters to disperse them. The police apparently was using tear gas to disperse the protesters. Of course, you can see their leader there, and suddenly he takes flight. Let's find out why.
Let's go to Beggar.
All right, that was happening along Unity Fountain, still in the Federal Capital Territory. Mr. Chilaka, how would you respond to the use of tear gas to disperse those protesters?
You can see how stupid that looks so shameful. How many of them are there? Why are they shooting tear gas at 20, 30 people? Is that how unintelligent our police force is? The IG should look at this and call his people to order. People have right to demonstrate. This is shameful to look at. How many people were there? And they were just standing and chanting. This is so, some of the things read out from the dailies today, about the October 2020 saga of EndSARS. This is exactly like, I don't know how to put this. I don't know what country we're living in. Are we waiting for the people to start burning the leaders as a pure revolution like what happened in France before they start thinking from their brains? This will seem to be thinking off their asses or something. How can this happen? This is just about 30 people, and they're firing tear gas at 30 people who are just chanting? Does it mean people don't have the right to speak? When there's a story about a coup, and I can tell you freely, if any coup happens in this country today, the level of support they will get from the citizens will be very up. It's something to cry about.
But I'll actually bring your thoughts to, since you talked about the coup and Daily Trust, right? There's an alleged coup plot as governor under watch, more officers picked, right? I'm just trying to put it in perspective, but over the weekend, we heard about a coup and arrested a couple of military men.
16 in
16
total.
of them, by the way. What does this say to you? Although some avenues, some quarters said there was nothing like that about it. We're trying to defend, all that. So, but go ahead.
Let's put it in perspective as well, because now there were two reports. Premium Times and there was Sahara Reporters as well. Now, Premium Times, we know, reported at the time that this coup plot was the reason that the parade did not hold on Independence Day, because many people were not happy. So the defense headquarters came out and debunked it entirely, said that wasn't the reason. It just wasn't going to happen. They did not say it was tied. They claimed, the DHQ, that they never mentioned the coup as being the reason. But they did not outright deny the alleged coup, right? So that's just putting it in perspective. But yes, right now we see an ex-governor is now under watch. Now the ex-governor in question has not been identified. Nobody knows who this is. They're still investigating and trying to see if they will tie him to this. I mean, a coup?
Yeah,
in 2025?
At this point in time, I'm
not surprised about the coup stuff. Not surprised at all. We're even due for a coup. This country has messed up. The leaders have messed up too much. I mean, a revolution, a coup, anything that happens here now is long overdue. They are taking the people for granted a lot. It's too much. Young people demonstrate, you shoot at them. Look at that peaceful chant just there. You start firing tear gas at them. If those people get violent, do they think they can fight 200 million people? Is that what they think? With how many police officers do we have in Nigeria? They think they can face, you see how ignorant they are. If 200 million people come out in the street, what can, the whole of Africa will bleed. Let alone the few unequipped, unintelligent armed forces or criminal armed forces we have. It's a shame.
Does it still stand, the consequences of planning a coup and failing? In the yesteryears, we know that it was punishable by death. We saw many people being hung at Bar Beach as a result of that, or one or two persons.
When you take away the dignity from a man, whatever you see you take, it turns into an animal. So a coup is like the last resort. When life has lost its value, people do any other thing they can to survive. When you push a man to the wall, there's only one thing he's going to do, he's going to fight back. So before they go into coups, I'm sure, I've read a lot of books about coups, starting from the first criminality that was called a coup in this country, when people were trying to resolve corruption when it started, and they termed it an Igbo coup. The 1966 coup was nothing to do with the Igbos. I always said this recently, thanks to Badmas Babangida's book. He has said it clearly, because my own father was part of that. He was in the military at the time. So all these shams, they're too much lies from the government. People can't trust their government for even 24 hours.
These are early reports. We saw what happened in West Africa. We covered what was happening in other countries. Coup, detained president in detention. We don't know where he is, how he is doing. Now it's happening, or was about to happen,
closed door,
in another West African country, in Nigeria.
And I heard it was meant to be a bloody one. From some of the documents I read, it was meant to be a very bloody coup. Because I think maybe that's the only language this country will understand. Because how else do you want to know that the people are tired? People are bleeding. They can't feed. They can't do anything. And you're speaking grammar and still stealing money and lying every day. We have characters like the Minister of FCT walking around. I mean, those who have done enough things for them to be behind bars, and they are on front of the whole thing going on in this country. We should be ashamed of our country.
Can a Nigerian state actually contain a coup at this point in time? Wouldn't the West Africa implode?
My brother, we have seen the worst. A coup will not kill anybody. I'm not saying I'm subscribing to a coup, but these people need to start using their brain. There was a coup somewhere in Africa last week. I can assure you more are still going to come. Because now it's coming a trend, because those who have done the coups, one, they are doing well, and they're being received and welcomed by the people. So you're going to expect more. Nigeria is going to be the peak of it. The moment it happens here, trust me, in less than 6 months, 4, 5, 6 countries around Africa will follow suit.
What would you say to the governments in power at this point in time? Like having perceived or have this conversation coming in the front burner at this point in time, what could be in their minds now?
Trust me, this is smoke and there's fire behind it. So it's left to them to either be wise, like I said, think with their brains, or keep being adamant and ignorant, thinking they can manage 200 million hungry and upset people.
Well, we have to put this disclaimer here, because Afia TV would never incite the public to overhaul the government, to basically tip the government over, because even ethically speaking,
nobody wants that.
We can't do that. But what I just to really put that disclaimer out there, would never incite people to overhaul. But what we're talking about here, to state clearly, is an alleged coup plot. that was reportedly twatted. Now a former governor yet to be identified is under watch. Do you see such an expose coming out in the coming days if truly he was one of them?
You know, the truth is that with the state of the nation, if somebody is trying to change this government, he should actually get support of the people. But now, another question is there. What's the intention of the person coming in?
They said that according to the allegation, he was sponsoring those people who were trying to do it.
You know, whether he's positive or negative, we don't even know. That's why such things shouldn't happen, because coup is like anarchy. It's lawlessness, it's criminality. But, I mean, we're living with criminality inside our own government and inside our state. You know, when Nnamdi Kanu started, I was one of those who was not totally in support of the way he was, going about things. But my brother, today, times have vindicated Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi has spoken the most copious truth about what's going on in this country. The Igbo man is like, we do not belong to this country. We're like visitors. We're the true and only true Nigerians who invest everywhere in this country, yet treated like slaves in our own country. Some people claim they defeated the Igbo man during the Civil War. They did not deceive the Igbo man. They did not defeat us in that war. The international community did. The whole world fought Igbo people. For 3 years, without any arms, we stood our ground. I'm proud to be an Igbo. I'm proud of the Igbo race or Igbo tribe. And I'll say it to every Igbo man. You should be proud of who you are. And you should be able to say the truth. The rest of Nigerians, our brothers, it's a shame that we've allowed the Western influence make us now see our own brothers as enemies. Look at Sowore fighting for Nnamdi Kanu. Is that not what Nigeria should be as a country? Is that not what our national anthem sings? This is a brotherhood.
Now, let's look at unpopular views that are also making the rounds for a balanced conversation. Now, there are some sections that believe that Sowore and his protests, they're only trying to incite the Igbos to, be at loggerheads with the federal government. That's on one side. Now, on the second side, and still in line of that same thought, those people who argue that he is just trying to incite the people to Igbos to do something and end up being victimized again, the same people that back that claim say that Nnamdi Kanu should be allowed to be tried. They should allow him undergo trial for the accusations leveled against him. And these views, Mr. Chilaka, are coming from sections of Ndibo.
Can we hear their names?
Well,
those are the problems of this country. They are ignorant. They are unintelligent. Nnamdi Kanu has been tried. It's that they don't read the news or they don't follow trends. Nnamdi has been tried, and the court has said this man did not commit this offense.
They believe that he's undergoing another trial.
Even if you're going to arrest him, he has been granted freedom. Let him walk and then arrest him again. That never happened. That shows some insincerity in the reason why he's been held. If because of the offenses that he's been held, the court said, let him go. Don't try him again on this. You can't. It's what you call double jeopardy. You can't try him again for the same thing. A Kenyan court has tried, heard his case, and cleared him and let him go, and even gave him, granted him some payment for that. And that court in Nigeria, the same thing. And you're still holding this same man. What did the Sunday Igboho do? What's the difference? Is he the first man to ask for, There are also stories saying that he's been offered some things.
Yeah.
Sunday was offered, Sunday took his own things and walked away. Nnamdi refused. He sounds to me like Traore, motherland or death. That's it. A man who knows what he wants for his people. The kind of leaders we need. We don't have leaders down here in the East. Our people are all over the place. Today we are Biafra. Tomorrow we are Ohanes and Dibo. The next day we are APC. Another day we are PDP. Some people are Abga. We're just chasing our pockets. And that shows for me empty content of character.
So let's talk about the wave of defection. Recently, we saw the Enugu state governor defect to the All Progressives Congress. And we also saw the Bayelsa state governor do that as well. Bayelsa governor did that as well. What's your take on the wave of defection to the All Progressives Congress, raising concerns about Nigeria turning to a one-party state? What's your take?
Well, there are two perspectives to this. First of all, is the expression of cowardice. What makes a man is you stand to the last. Die with your ideology or whatever you believe in. That's what makes you a man. So if you say you believe in the ideology of Labour Party, even if it's going down, you're going down with it. If you say you stand for Abga, you stand and go down with it. But like I said earlier on, that's the second perspective. There's no ideology in our politics in Nigeria. If you look at the politicians, most of them have crossed one another somewhere or somehow. They're all friends. So they're basically going to APC just to be sure they win their next election. Not because they actually believe in APC. Our governor in the state here, it was quite, the first time I heard it, I was quite disappointed. But now, when I gave it a second thought, I was like, what is PDP? There's no difference in PDP and APC. You know, I mean, like PD, APC, or you know, they're the same one people. You know, these are APC people were people who were, you know, felt they were treated unfairly in PDP, and they went to form another forum. So they are taking their brothers over to
now, speaking about being treated unfairly, that was one of the reasons that came up, the Southeast not being treated fairly by the national PDP. And of course, internal crisis. So taking us to the nation now, PDP convention, IAM will protest forgery in letter to INEC. The crisis is still seeping deep into the PDP. And even last week, we saw reports of some courts. You know, there's crisis. Ayawo is now the national secretary, and we know that the Southeast was pushing for Sunday Okoye to be second national secretary, but this man was approved regardless of what the Southeast caucus thought. And then there's still crisis. Who forged Ayawo's signature? If he didn't write it, if he didn't sign it, then who did? I mean, doesn't he paint a picture of some mischief making? Who is the mischief maker in the People's Democratic Party?
You see why I said there's a second perspective, why I don't totally blame the people who have defected. I mean, who wants to be in a house that is in this kind of shambles? You know, thanks to our FCT minister, he's doing a very good job for whoever.
Is he the mischief maker in your thoughts?
Who else could be the mischief maker if not him and his cohorts?
But no one has tied the signature to him. I mean, who could have signed the signature?
I'm not saying he signed the signature.
So I
don't know who signed the signature. Nobody knows. Anybody can sign anything. It's written with ink. So, but the point is that, you know, we know his background, trying to make sure PDP remains in crisis. Whether it's a role he's been asked to play or his decision as a man, we don't know. But it's quite a shame. The two parties are hopeless. There are no political parties. They're criminal organizations, if you ask me. That's what I see APC and PDP as. Now, they've gone in and destroyed Labour Party. There is no Labour Party anymore. ADC, we don't know why they're gathering until we realize why they're gathering. I would rather follow a Sowore'S or Nnamdi Kanu than any of these people. Because these men have been consistent in what they are saying and is in sync with the needs and demands of the people of the country.
Okay, let me bring to your thoughts to Sowore calling out Peter Obi that he does not want to align with the protests, which Atiku Abubakar also, you know, followed suit, saying that yes, he's in support of the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest that's happening already today, right? So, what would you say to that as you called out the leaders of Ndi Igbo of not, you know, joining to ask these questions? Why is Nnamdi Kanu still in incarceration up until this time? Even as appeal court acquitted him, but he wasn't allowed to go. Sowore is the one fighting all the way from the west, and his brothers in the east here, you know, are just there watching on their bystanders.
Quite, like I said before, it's quite shameful. You know, Peter Obi is an iconic personality in Igbo land. I know there's a story of, or the saying about calling a dog a bad name and hanging it. I'm sure they are keeping their eyes on him. You know, they're looking for a reason to hang him as a dog. Because if they can hang him, I mean, their battles are over 50%. So I'm sure he's being sensitive to that. That's why he's not coming out front. Because
well, he said
the moment he says anything...
he said that he has been saying it, that there was no need for arresting Nnamdi Kanu at the first place.
That's what I'm saying. He's applying diplomacy in his stand. And I understand that. I'm not saying he shouldn't speak. He should speak for Nnamdi Kanu, but he should be smart because I'm sure the government will jump at him the moment he says anything. They're waiting. They're looking for a reason to jump on Peter Obi. And Peter Obi is smart enough to know that this is what they want. So why Sowore, you know, I give him his honors. He's a courageous man. That's the kind of leaders we need in Africa as a whole, not just Nigeria. But you know, some people also think that Peter Obi is not quite decisive in certain things. But I believe people apply themselves in different ways. He has his own ways of applying himself. You know, Sowore'S way, that's the way I would go if I were in either of their positions. I believe in standing on what I believe in.
Okay. Do you still think this individual, Peter Obi, is still the opposition? Because lately, we've not been hearing so much about this individual. APC, PDP doing their thing, ADC doing their thing, Atiku Abubakar, the president and all that. Do you still think that this individual is still the opposition?
I don't know what he is. I know he's popular with the people and the obedience. And if you cast a free and fair vote, I believe, in this country any day, he will most likely win that election. That's my personal belief, my views. But there's no platform. As far as I'm concerned, there's no platform. ADC, APC, there's only one party in Nigeria right now. And they're capable of reading out any result without shame, without reservation. So when you're going into battle with people with this kind of character, how do you do it? I feel sorry for people like someone like Peter Obi. He's too organized to be in this country. You need a little bit of madness.
Have to be rugged.
Yeah. You need some ruggedity. He's too gentle for this country.
Right.
Maybe we're not ripe for his personality. He's a bit more advanced than Nigeria.
But this question is very important. Do you believe in Joash Amopiton, the new INEC chair?
Do you believe in it?
No, I'm asking.
I don't know. He's so far. His source
and revamp
his
INEC.
source throws away his legitimacy. Where he's coming from throws away his legitimacy. I don't believe him at all.
The come 2027
I have
election,
no trust. I have no belief in INEC.
It's not the people's mandates.
The
INEC
only
and
way
APC's
the
mandates.
people can stop what is going on in these countries when they vote, you stay like we did in Enugu during the elections. Everybody stays in the polling station till they count that vote and we get the results. If for any reason INEC chooses to say something otherwise, the people act on the spot to show that this is not
the last
our
election. People actually stood there, they counted, they registered, but they went to the national. When they were reeling out those results, what happened?
Yes, if that national place was surrounded by a crowd of 8, 10, 20, 30 million people, they would revisit that result.
All right.
If Nigeria said no INEC person is leaving this office, it has happened in Imo State, they had to review the result.
All right, Mr. Chilaka, we're out of time. And you did mention something salient as well. You said there's only one political party in Nigeria. Were you talking about APC or INEC?
I mean, all of them are one. That's what I mean.
PDAPC.
It's a PD, APC,
So
Labour,
which of the parties, PDP or INEC?
They're the same party.
So INEC is a political party?
Of course, it's a subset of a political party. Don't you know that it's APC
That's on
today?
a lighter note. All right, Mr. Chilaka, thank you so much for your time this morning. Thank you once again. Of course, we're going on a quick break. When the Monitor returns, we delve into regional stories and find out what Southeasterners are saying about today's protest. Don't go anywhere.